Hi everyone, Lori Marie here, mixed media artist in Vallejo, California. So I started a piece with some bright colors, some lovely splatters, some colors that I love, and then the piece took over. And the piece is about depression, and this young lady had something that she wanted to say. And so I moved over and I let her express herself. So very interesting piece. I had a lot of fun doing it. Oh my goodness. I also have a podcast that goes hand in hand with this piece. I hope you are listening to my podcasts. I will leave a link under this video for that podcast. It's called Lori Marie Presents The Main Artery. And it's the authentic heartbeat of creativity. So I hope you can join me there and listen to some things that I have to say that I don't say when we're on the table. So just kind of interesting to listen to. So we are going to go forward and I will show you this piece, and you can be shocked and amazed and entertained, and hopefully you'll give some of it a try. So see you on the table. So this is your project for today. These images are from Jason Lyman. This face that we started off originally with, I will mention her name later on in the video so that she gets credit for that gorgeous piece. I'm still waiting for some of the black paint to dry, the black paint drips to dry. This started off as a very colorful background, and then Payne's Gray watercolor over that with the alcohol drips, and it kind of brought the color back up a little bit, but it's a piece about depression, and I have to say that she made herself. This is not exactly what I had expected, but she had something to say, so she came forward and said it. Everyone, the sun is almost up. So my niece gave me this gorgeous scroll for Christmas. It's like watercolor paper. It is gorgeous. So I am going to do a face with quite an elaborate headdress, or at least that's my intention. So, you know, I've mentioned Dina Dana before. Dina Dana sent me this gorgeous High Fructose magazine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this magazine, and I'm going to find things that I think are interesting, that would be interesting on her headdress. And I'm going to tear those pages out and just make a stack of those pages. And then I will go in and cut those things out later. This is the face I think I'm going to use. We shall see. I'll need to alter it some. This is by Anna Bagayan. So I'll need to alter that face, but pretty wonderful. Look at those eyes. So yes, I'm just going to go through my magazine and pull out things that I find very, very interesting. And who doesn't find that interesting? My goodness me. So after I get some things pulled out, we will revisit on the desk. All right, let's just walk through some of the pages that I found interesting. Love that. Love this. Don't know quite what we'll do with that. This. Now we're getting into some colorful things here. Always love a house. Always love a house. So for the next while, I'm going to cut these things out. I'd rather cut them out with my X-Acto. So we shall see what happens. All right, every time I move, I'm losing something. So I'm going to go ahead and cut her out and play with her a little bit. All right, I'm going to use a glue stick on her, hopefully to keep her from wrinkling too much. I'm going to work on her a little bit at a time. Well, she has definitely taken on a life of her own that I did not expect. So one never knows where the art is going to take us. She's fun. Oh, yes, she is. All right, I better glue some of these pieces down before I lose them. So there she is as of right now. Who knew she was going to go off in that direction? So funny. Let's bring our background back in. All right, I think maybe she'll be over here, but I don't know for sure. I'm going to go ahead and cover this gorgeous paper with some underpants, Mod Podge and underpants. See if I can make this a little bit smaller. All right, we'll work on this a little bit at a time. And I'm just going to cover the whole thing with underpants, Mod Podge and underpants. I actually have to create some underpants today. So I'm just going to take some old book pages and I'm just going to tear them into some pieces. I have some, but I need more. This is a big piece that we're going to be playing on. So this is how I do it. I just rip my pages, rip my underpants. And I think this is hilarious, is how to make underpants. It's actually a bathing suit, but if we use our imagination, then here is a pattern on how to make underpants. Gotta use that. And here we go. Just going to start at the top of the scroll. And start putting the underpants on. This is going to take a minute. It's a big piece. All right, just about done putting my underpants on. Took a minute this morning, my goodness. I have some fun little stamps, postage stamps. I'm gonna add those hither and thither. I have a piece of sewing pattern around here someplace too. Just for some more energy on this piece. Okay, I have played and played and played. I've got underpants on, I've got stamps on, I stamped on my underpants. Now I am going to walk away from this for a moment and clean my desk because my workspace is pretty small right now. Alright, I changed the angle of the camera. I'm hoping we can get more of the piece on the camera. So one of my favorite techniques of painting is to drag it. So, and I'm not going to worry too much if I get some on the fabric. That's just going to have to be some of the charm. So drag the first color down. Start the layering process of the paint. Our focal point is pretty amazing, might I say. And we'll let that dry. Just about dry. I'm just going to bring some sandpaper in and scuff it up a little bit. Okay, I take the sandpaper in there just to pick up some of the edges of the underpants. Give it a little bit more texture, more elevation in some areas for the eye to catch on to. Not to destroy the piece, but to add more interest. That's always an artist's choice. If this doesn't feel good, please don't do it. I'm here for inspiration only. Okay. I've chosen a celery green. It's a little pale, little paler than what I would usually use. So I'm going to play with it and have some fun. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the ever famous ochre color, which I love. Very uncontrolled at this point. And we'll let that dry. Alright, it's just about dry. I'm going to bring in my handy dandy sandpaper and go in here and sand and bring some of the texture back up. Alright, I brought some of the texture back up. I am loving this. Now we're going to bring a little bit of chaos in. I'm going to grab one of my craft colors, my craft paints. Use my toothbrush. Really load my toothbrush up with some paint. There we go. So it looks about like that. And then what I'm going to do is just gently pull it back and let gentle splatters come. I don't know if you can see on screen or not, but it actually changes the whole color of the piece just by adding that little bit of those little dots of purple. It just changes the whole color of the piece, which is so fun. All right, I'm going to wash my toothbrush. Now I'm going to bring in Pepto-Bismol Pink. Add some splatters with that. Beautiful. Okay, you can see that it's got a nice cast of pink color on it, and I'm going to let that dry. Oh, isn't she delicious? And I have a couple of things that I want to put down the side here. So I just want to listen to the piece for a moment. See what else it needs. What else it wants. All right, now I'm going to play with some Payne's Gray watercolor. It's quite dark. And some alcohol. And we know it has to be nice and juicy. But yet we want some good color. And we have to work a section at a time so that we can get in there and play with that while the water is still wet. Or the paint is still wet, I should say. We really want a lot of the background to come through, but I need to really darken up the piece. Okay, we're almost dry. I'm bringing my sandpaper in. All right, we're going to bring our focal point back in. I'm going to put her on this side since there's more energy on this side. Maybe about right there. And our other little pieces. 1, 2, 3. Well, if that's the case, we need something right here. Let me see what I can find. Now, when you're cutting out the image, I would rather see you cut a little bit into the image rather than to have a white line. a line of delineation that makes it look like you cut it out. So really get close to that image when you're cutting it out. I always wiggle my scissors a little bit so that the edge isn't too straight. So see this edge? That needs to come off. So I just wiggle my scissors a little bit so it's not too even. So we shall see. We'll take a peek. All right, I'm pretty content with this layout. So now I'm going to bring my Mod Podge in and I'm just going to glue these pieces down. Since I have quite a dirty space here, I am going to put my pieces on a piece of clean paper towel. And I did wash my brush because of course it had the Payne's gray paint in it. And let's put some Mod Podge on the back of her. And let's put her down to the best of our ability. There's a few places that I need to re-stick things. We can do that. Now I'm going to take some clear gesso and I'm going to paint clear gesso over the whole thing. It will seal it, but yet it will keep it from being shiny. I don't want this piece to be shiny at all. So I will just cover it with some clear gesso. One of my favorite things to work with, and I don't get to work with it enough. I have to work fast so I don't move that watercolor. Nope, moving it a little bit. Well, we'll pretend we meant to do that. Love it. All right, let it dry. Now this piece does not need much Stabilo at all because it is such a dark piece. But I am going to go in and add just a little bit in some spots. It's a nice dark piece. Have some fun with the Stabilo. Stabilo's always fun for this girl. The topic of today is depression, stress, anxiety, physical pain, and what art can do around those. Get us to the table. I made a podcast about it today, so it's really on the forefront of my mind. Well, this girl clearly had her own story that she wanted to tell this morning. This is not at all where I thought this piece was going to go. But here she is. So here's the finished piece. I tried some different camera angles during this video, so some worked, some didn't work, but life is an experiment. So I ended up taking the scroll pieces off this piece. They were just not working for me, but I adore this piece. She had something to say and she said it. So your turn. Go create, go play, go have fun.